How are you doing today?
I'm doing very, very well. How are you this evening, Julien? How's life in Paris?
You know, I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great, but I'm kind of having remorse about an old story, something that happened
Oh,
multiple years ago, and I feel like sometimes it's not so much about customer experience, it's about customer behavior and employee experience. And I gotta come clean about it. So I felt like maybe this CX couch is the right place to talk.
well, why don't you grab a seat? It sounds like you've got something to work through here.
Well, I do, and I'm gonna try to do some storytelling here because it all started well, like very well. That's actually happening during my honeymoon. So that was what, let's say X years ago, because I don't want to tell my age
You don't
anymore.
want to admit how old you really are?
Yeah. So that was X years ago. My wife and I, so we both worked in Hong Kong at the time, so we had very little holiday. So we managed by pulling all resources together to get, I think that was 8 or 9 days plus a weekend. So there must have been 10 days or 11 days off altogether.
Well, okay.
And we decided we wanted to go to Australia. Now, what we've done, and that was honestly the best trip in my life. What we've decided to do is let's book the ticket to go there, the return ticket. Let's book a car, and that's about it. We roughly know we want to go from Melbourne all the way to Sydney, go to Canberra. So take the ocean road to go there, and then the inland road to come back. We have 10 days. Let's figure it out. We don't book anything, no hotel,
I
nothing.
I love trips like that. I love trips like that when they work.
Well, so well, that's a side story, but I bought a lot of equipment like a tent and some
Oh, okay.
sleeping bags and all of that just to do camping. We've done one night camping and then hotel the rest of the time because it was so freaking cold and very uncomfortable. We were brave at first and then realistic afterwards, but that's probably a story for another day. So what happened is every day around 5 p.m. we would probably be in the car and we would start looking at, okay, night is about to happen anytime soon now. It's about time we settle down somewhere. So let's look online. We had that nice online SIM card to be able to get some kind of local Wi-Fi, 4G, whatever it was at the time. I think it was like a Wi-Fi card. Let's figure out what hotel nearby or Airbnb or whatever it is, and let's see where we spend the night. And it actually went pretty well almost every night until one day we went to this very like traditional American / Australian style hotel. Why am I saying American? Because you only see this kind of hotel in the American series. You know, those nice small hotels, like single ground floor with a parking lot in the middle. You see that in every American series. I've never seen that in France, but there were quite a bunch of those stuff in Australia. And we said, yeah, you know what? That look funny enough, not like luxury of any sort, but let's try then. So we went to the hotel. I asked, can I see the room? Yes, no. Yes, please see the room. Here is a key. Go have a look. So we walk around. We have a look at the room. Nothing fancy, but good enough. So looks great. Now, the first thing I do is I go on my phone to an online travel agent. I don't know if you know this one. I used to use Agoda, similar to Booking.com. I'm not sure how famous that
Yeah,
is, but
not
same thing as
familiar with
Booking.
that, but
And then I look at the rate. It's like a couple of euros cheaper or something like this. I say, hey, look, you know what? Roughly same price. I'm going to book it with Agoda. I go back and then she said, so are you happy with the room? Are you going to take it? Yes or no? I said, yeah, that's beautiful. You should actually have the email in your box. I just booked it. And then she was like devastated. Like, why would you do that? Why you come to me, you go check the room, and then you book it online? And I was like, yeah, why? Because I've booked all of my other hotels through that app. So I just like to keep record. I have all of my spending in the same place. Plus, I'm accumulating a few, loyalty points that I can redeem at a later stage. And she was really devastated and going on and on about, that those guys are actually taking, I can't remember the numbers. I think that was like 25% cut on everything I'm making. You would have come to me. I would have, given you a nice better rate, whatever it takes. I would have given you that. We have the fresh milk from the nearby farm that we give to every guest to have like a nice gesture and so on. And as the conversation goes on, she actually starts crying. And then I realize that she's not just a hotel manager, she's the owner. And she's probably struggling because those we call that OTA, online travel agents. Those OTAs are just a necessary evil because nowadays you can't exist if you
Right.
don't go through OTAs, right? You have to be listed there. But they take such a outrageous cut on your profit that for small hotels that can really be a struggle to get both ends to meet and actually make a living out of it. And I felt so bad about it because I was not, I didn't mean to do anything wrong here. It's just I've been using Agoda, so let's keep using that thing. And my wife is still making fun of me so many years later, saying how cheap I am, kind of stuff, because
Saving
those,
$2.
those loyalty points, I mean, it's probably like you accumulate 1,000 of them and then you get $2 discount. So it's like
Right.
ridiculous. And they make it so complex to redeem it anyway. And that was probably very rude of me anyway to, visit the room and then tell her that I just booked through an online travel agent. And the worst of it is I've been in the hospitality business. I was in the hospitality business at that time. I should have known because I worked for a hotel. I knew how bad OTAs can be because you have to go through them, but they are taking such a ridiculous cut on your margin. Plus, they have those very difficult rules where you can't have a lower rate than what you're giving them because you need to have parity. This is a terrible business to be in. And it's not about customer experience today, but that was an experience. I was a customer. I feel like I did something terribly wrong. And ever since, I've been booking direct with any hotels I go to whenever possible, assuming that their rates are somehow similar, because I know how painful this is for hotels, especially small ones. Probably can do differently with a Hyatt or those big chains. But I've learned a lesson there. And I feel like it was about time I redeemed myself by telling you that story.
Feel better? How do you feel about that?
I think I feel a little bit better. I mean, I still have somewhere on my CV that I get hotel managers to cry because I'm not just behaving
And
well as a
that's
customer.
something, yeah, that's something to remark on. It's interesting. I disagree with you saying it's not about customer experience. I think it's very much about customer experience and how much it's changing. I got a gift card for GitHub the other day, and that's a similar with restaurants. And I've talked to some people who work at small restaurants, and it just kills them when people order that way. And especially with COVID and so much takeout that's being done, they just can't not do it. And as much as you are an espoused digital guy, of course you're going to be attracted to that sort of thing. So I get what you did. I think you did a very natural thing. I think it parallels to some conversations we've had about, going to Amazon and doing the big digital thing and, versus the mom and pop shop down the street. This is the same thing. Here's the cute hotel, and you're just doing the natural customer experience for you, the thing you're drawn to. But I don't know. You're right. It is crushing to them. It is unfair. I'm glad to hear you are trying to work more directly with the hotel going forward than not.
And there are actually some great upsides to working. Not that I really want to preach for that and get everyone to change their habits because it's probably not going to happen, but there's actually some real advantages to work directly with the hotels. For one, I stopped working with Agoda altogether because I realized that many of their bookings are actually going through bookings.com. So you book through a middleman that goes through another middleman that goes through. And
there's no
why
way
is
that can be the best rate.
Well, there is something about the rate, but there is also something about when things go wrong, and I had the experience a couple of times. Try to reach out to the hotel. You can't because you have a middleman putting you in line with another middleman, and that becomes a terrible customer experience.
I've had that experience too, and it was just, and also with flights. If you book a flight on something, it's like, wait, do I call the airline? Do I call and I'll book on American, and suddenly I lose all my status. I don't lose my status, but when it comes to clearing something up, I got to go work with somebody who doesn't care about me instead of the airline.
And we've seen with another CX therapy that you do care about your airline status, so that's an important one.
Yes, absolutely.
But yeah, so and booking direct, you kind of get this nice gesture. You probably get if not a better price, at least the lowest price. Usually, most of them play the game like that, and you're just helping a local business.
Well, okay, so what about, like, I'm a Marriott guy, and Marriott now has, a number of, like, they have the Autograph Collection, which is a bunch of cool older hotels, but now they're doing all the, Marriott they're almost like a franchise of a Marriott at this point. And so I book through Marriott. Are you actively going out and seeking small hotels and going direct to them? Or are you,
Well,
how does one of those big chains
actually, it
play
depends on
in
what I'm
this?
traveling for. If it's business travel, I'm gonna go to Holiday Inn. I'm gonna go to Marriott. I'm gonna go to whatever. I'm gonna go to a big chain because I know exactly what I step into. Plus, the only purpose of business is I want a comfortable bed, I want a clean room,
Right.
and I don't care about the rest. If I travel for holiday, I always go, or at least I try to go for the local boutique hotel that has some kind of, I don't know what some kind of culture attached to it, some kind of uniqueness, some kind of, you feel there is a story behind. It's not just a nice, fancy, shiny building with marble or gold or whatever that doesn't tell you a story. I love to have this small stores where you got a story attached to it and where you can actually talk to the
Yeah.
owner and they have some great thing to tell you, assuming you didn't get them to cry in the first place. That's that's exactly
Well,
what I love.
it makes me think of your story we did last time or recently, where the owner's father was driving you all over town, and just this, that is possible. You can also get somebody who doesn't care, but just that something like that is possible is exciting. And my story about the pay me $150, I'll get you the best room in the hotel. That also was kind of a boutique hotel experience.
But yeah, well, that's the one I had for you today. I'm not sure there is much of a learning from a company customer experience perspective on what you should be doing better if you were a boutique hotel. I mean, I think they are all doing the same now. They're all saying book direct with us and get whatever extra, get the
Yeah.
best rate. They're trying very hard, but let's face it, their website is never going to rank as well as the OTAs because that's how things work.
I would argue there's one lesson from this. If you own a hotel and it's a smaller hotel, don't cry when somebody books them the other way, because they're going to do that. And I realize you were standing in her lobby, and I get the affront of it, but still, that's, I don't know. I guess it just, that's how real it was for her, and I guess you really have to give her a pass for that. But
Well, that changed my consumer habits from that point on. So
yeah,
I think that was
it was
good.
real. It was very real too.
I do feel much better. Thank you so much for listening to me whining over and over again. But for once, I was not blaming anyone but myself. So I hope that was somehow refreshing.
Yeah, that was a good story. Appreciate it.
Perfect. I hope yours will be great as well. And that's going to be next week. Thank you so much,
All
Max.
right.
Talk to you
We'll
then.
see where it goes. Thanks, Julien. Talk to you
Bye.
then. Bye.